Welcome to Mikhail Messenger. You may remember I had a dream not so long ago, in which time I did a video called I Have a Dream, with the numbers 7, 8, and a 9 inside of a circle. At that time, we didn't know whether this might relate to the fall feasts or perhaps the blood moon. Well, today we're going to follow up, and perhaps it relates to both. Today on Mikhail Messenger. Welcome to Mikhail Messenger. It's great to be with you guys today, where we're exploring Bible news, prophecies, and mysteries. And if you haven't yet become a subscriber, I pray that you would. It helps our channel, and also if you can help not only subscribe, but if you can help support the channel. We are a ministry, and we rely on your support. So thank you so much for helping us out in that way as well. So as you know, a while back I had a dream. And I want to give some shouts out to Jay Flyaway, Ethel, Robert, Maria. Good to see you guys in the chat. And I had a dream talking about, I saw a 7 and 8 inside of a calendar and a little 9 inside of a red circle. And we were debating as to what that might mean. Again, just to recap, you can watch the original video for more information, but... And there I go into a lot of detail. I didn't realize it was such a long video. This I intend to be a much shorter video. So there's a lot of detail there on that one. I think we explore a lot of things in that video. It looks like it's almost 3 hours long. Wow, that's amazing. Well, this shouldn't be more than a 10-minute video. But basically, I just wanted to follow up on that and say, you know, when in that dream, I saw inside like a block of a calendar. Like if you were looking at a regular calendar on a wall that has squares for each of the days. And so I saw a square with 7, 8 next to each other, and then a 9 in the lower right-hand corner circle inside of a circle. And didn't know what that meant. You know, I usually have these when I'm kind of waking up, so it was kind of a quick little vision dream, whatever you want to call it. And I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was significant, but I didn't know why. And I felt like the 7 and 8 weren't. It wasn't 78. In other words, it was that they were, even though they were next to each other, that I imagined them being separate from one another, almost like there was a line between them. There wasn't a line in the dream, but that's how I felt about it as I was looking at that. These were not, this was not the number 78, but rather it was a 7 and an 8 next to each other. So kind of a different feeling there. And so as I was digging into this and thinking about these times and the blood moon and looking at the calendar, as you know, we are about to enter the last great 8th day, and I intend to do a couple other videos on that, at least one other one I know for sure, talking about Shemini Atzeret and this last great 8th day, because there's a lot pointing to this being the true end of 5782. Now, I know a lot of people are looking at next month already, and obviously if we're still here, we'll be looking at that, but... The only reason I hold back on looking at next month is because we're looking for a summer harvest, and I think you're going to be hard-pressed to say if we're in the middle of November that that's still a summer harvest, although the end of October, they do still count that as summer in Israel. And also, we're looking for the end of 5782, and it's tough to say it's happening a month later, to say that that's the beginning of the new year. Again, it still kind of pushes it. And also the third reason is their feasts are supposed to turn into mourning. And it's hard to say your feasts are turning into mourning if you waited a month after your feasts were already over and then you start the mourning. So, but what I'm going to share with you today may point to both. There may be a both here, okay? And that's what I'm exploring and considering, is there might be a connection, because we know that the last day, the 23rd of Tishri, is the day. The 23rd of the day of the 7th month. Now, again, some people believe that's next month. I'm not opposed to it. In fact, I'm even one who helped promote that idea early on, talking about the two blood moons. And so, again, I'm not opposed to it, but there are some other reasons that I feel like maybe that's not correct for us to be thinking that way, at least in terms of how God is going to operate when it comes to the Jewish calendar and what the Jews are actually doing. Speaking of the Jews, they are actually celebrating right now in Israel, and it's a little unusual. Let's see, because for the last 2 days, let me see if this is up now. For at least the last 24 hours, it's looked like this. Okay, this is the camera. This is the live camera of Jerusalem. I'm going to go into this a little bit more in the other video I'm going to do, so I won't spend too much time on it. But kind of suspicious. Okay, a little suspicious. This is the camera. It's been this way for at least 24 hours, just grayed out. Right. Normally you see a live cam. Now I looked at. There's only 2 live cams available right now. Sometimes there's up to 4, and the other one. Okay, now this one, okay, cool. They moved this one. So now we can see a little bit of action. Now we don't know if this is technically really live or not, but it always is a little strange when they suddenly just cut the camera feeds altogether. Now this one before was just looking at the skyline, but we're actually seeing some activity right now. So assuming this is all real and happening in real time, I guess there is action going on there. Okay, so that's good. But as you know, they've been packing it in over there. Because they are looking for this last great 8th day that is about to happen on the 17th and the 18th here. So that is when they're celebrating. If you wait a month, they're not going to be celebrating. So you're not going to really turn the feast into mourning because they're not going to be feasting at that time. So that's why I'm still holding out for hero, so to speak, on this time frame. But it could be that there might be a connection here. So as far as my dream goes, okay, you've got this 17th and 18th. Well, this is that interesting because what did I see in the dream? I saw 7 and an 8. Next to each other. It is interesting that the 17th and 18th are the 2 dates, Shemini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. And I had actually meant to do this before coming on, but let me just see if I can put the diaspora. I think this is the diaspora holiday schedule that has the Simchat Torah in there as well. But there's actually 2 days. Yeah, there it is, Simchat Torah. So you've got the 17th and the 18th, Shemini Atzeret, Simchat Torah. That's interesting. And then, of course, you have this 7th and 8th, which is where the blood moon comes into play on the 8th. So that's also intriguing. You could also say it's the 7th month on the 18th, as another option. You could some argue this is the 7th month and this is the 8th day. So interesting. It does have that 9 inside of a red circle, right? Which kind of lends you to think, maybe blood moon. All right. Well, I looked up a list of lunar eclipses or blood moons, and I found something kind of interesting that looks like a chiasmus forming here, or having, I shouldn't say forming, it's formed, I guess, already, but that we're observing. So November 8th, right? This is the last total lunar eclipse of the year. There's only 2, one on what we believe to be true Passover, another to be on what we believe to be true, I guess it would be, is that Tabernacles at that point, or is it still, I think, what are we looking at there? Back over there for a second. Yeah, so that would be Tabernacles. Okay, the 14th going into the 15th is Tabernacles. So could it be, okay, so let's go back to take a look at, okay, so as you know, we have these 4 blood moons. We've been looking at these tetrads that have been happening. There's been like 3 or 4 of them that are very interesting, intriguing. And it kind of started back here at this April 15th of 2014 blood moon on Passover. Well, as I was looking at this list of lunar eclipses and I was counting, so it was the number 9 right inside of a red moon, right? So I started counting 9. Okay, so I counted from the 8th, I counted to May 16th, I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'm counting where it says total in bold. 8, 9. And that took me exactly to April 15th, 2014. It took me exactly to that blood moon. When I counted 9 total blood moons, total eclipse blood moons, it took me right back to this first blood moon, this Passover, April 15, 2014. So obviously that was pretty amazing, pretty intriguing that happened to be, because I'm thinking, what's the 9 all about, right? I thought I was thinking before it was like maybe it's the 9th month or something, but here you've got 9 total blood moons that go exactly to the first one of this Tetrad series of April 15th of 2014. Now I want you to notice something else here that's very interesting, as I'm going to show you when I count the other direction. Okay, so as you notice here, you have October 18th. Okay, October 18th is the one right preceding this, and as we know, October 18th is Shemini Atzeret this year, the last great 8th day. We also have April 15th, and then you have October 8th. October 8th this year was, I forget what they call it, Hatsu, what's it called? October 8th is Parashat Ha'atzinu, which is like the Sabbath right in between Yom Kippur and Tabernacles. Okay, so interesting dates here, though. There's a chiasmus going on because we've got October 18th, April 15th, October 8th. Okay, now let's go back to November 8th and we'll count in the other direction. Whoops, I think I went too far already. Okay, so here's November 8th, and now I'm going to count the other direction. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And technically, I could count. I think I count. That time I started counting with November 8th, but if I count, the one after November 8th, then that takes me to here. Well, what's interesting is you have a similar dates. You've got October 18th. Okay, this is in 2032 now. Of course, we hope to be tabernacling for a couple of years with the Lord by then. But that's October 18th. We've got April 14th, which is interesting because it's at 1912, and the duration is almost takes you to April 15th, because remember, it was April 15th, the other one. And that's 2033, which we believe perhaps when Jesus was crucified during his 33rd year on the earth, potentially. And then October 8th. So there it is again. You got October 8th, April 14th, but almost April 15th, kind of roughly there, and October 18th. So there's kind of this bookend chiasmus between this middle center blood moon that we're at now of November 8th, and then these two bookends on either side, which are very interesting of these total eclipses. Now, when we looked at the other one, I don't think October 18th was not a total eclipse at that time, but it was there after the April 15th. So they were kind of in a different order. October 8th, I think, was here, and April 14th, and then October 18th. But isn't it interesting that it's falling basically all on the same dates, exactly spaced out from the nine blood moons in either direction? But this 9 took us to the 9 going back took us to April 15th. The 9 going forward took us to April 14th, almost to 15th. So again, you've got that parallel. And then you have October 8th on the outside, October 18th on the inside. The other one, October 8th, that was on the inside. October 18th was out on the outside. Let me just show you that one more time back there in 2014. As you see here, you got October 18th, April 15th. And here, again, the duration. Now, again, depending on where you are in the world, you could argue, well, it's the 14th somewhere, it's the 15th somewhere, depending on where you are as well. But you got October 18th, April 15th, October 8th, and this had a duration that almost took you to, well, that would have been taking you to around noon. But the other one did seem to take you almost to April 15th there if you added it up. I didn't really do the math. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. But I thought that was kind of interesting, the little chiasmus there. So going back to the calendar then, and considering this, there could be a couple things that happen here. It could be that, both are true, okay? Because as you notice, one of the dates of the lunar cycle was October 18th, right? It specifically points to October 18th. So I kind of didn't really point that out, I guess, when I was looking at that. But when we're here on November 8th, okay, November 8th is around, November 8th is the blood moon that we're counting from, right? Because we're considering 9 blood moons in either direction. Well, when you went 9 blood moons from November 8th, you wound up, let's go too far. You wound up around October 18th. October 18th was right preceding the one on April 15th. And the same thing happens in the other direction. You also get October 18th. Sorry, my eyes are blurring here. October 18th, right, is right before that one. So it's interesting that you have October 18th connected with November 8th blood moon of 2022. So going back here, we've got this October 18th, which is Simchat Torah, which, I believe, both biblically and calendarically, there's a great connection. There's a lot of great connections here. We've got Solomon offering the 120,000 lambs and goats, as we just talked about in another news video. 120,000 shoulders, 120,000 goats. But he does it on the last great 8th day, and he actually sends people home on the 23rd of Tishri, on the 23rd of the 7th month. This is also the day that they begin studying the Torah again, a perfect time for the two witnesses to show up because it's exactly 1,260 days from Passover, which makes sense that they would die and be dead for 3 days, just like Jesus, and raise again on the third day, just like Christ, after they have just preached for 3.5 years, just as Christ did. So there's a great parallel there with the two witnesses that you wouldn't have if you go here, unless you're just going to keep pushing the calendar back a month for every year. And it's not going to stand out to the Jews, right? You're not going to turn their feast in the morning because they're not going to be feasting down here, so they're not going to see the connection. If you wait till like 17th, 24th of Heshvan or something, or even to the 11th, which a lot of people are looking at, the Noah date, they might make that connection. Oh, Noah, yeah. But it's not going to be the same as turning feast into mourning, right? If this is the last great day, I mean, I don't know if you've seen how packed it's been over there in Jerusalem. Like I said, this camera's out, which is a better view of kind of the big crowds. But it has been huge. The crowds have been huge over there. So, it just kind of, I don't know. It doesn't fit in other ways. There's other ways that pushing it to here doesn't fit. But if you were to have, say, the arpazo or rapture happen here, and the two witnesses show up, and there's all this earthquake and chaos and so forth. Granted, yes, the moon and the sun. I guess there's also a solar eclipse, right? There's a solar eclipse coming up on the 25th, right? So could it be that God stretches these things out? Because we know Revelation 6, there is and Matthew 24, there is the moon goes dark, the moon turns to blood, the sun goes dark. Now, granted, that's happened several times before now. So it's interesting to consider, is it going to be kind of a stretched out thing? Now, I know this 25th lands on the, what some are looking at as true Rosh Hashanah, or true Yom Teruah. So that is intriguing that it does happen to land there. It's not a full eclipse. It's a penumbral eclipse, but it does kind of point in some interesting ways to Israel. So how might this play out, I guess, is what I'm considering. Like, could it be there's an escape here, okay, before the destruction? Which is logical, right? The whole point is that God's trying to get us out of the way of his wrath. So it's logical that God might get us out preceding the destruction, that comes from the earthquake, etc. So could it be this is like a 7-day pre-warning, I guess, to people? This is the real 7 days of awe. Maybe perhaps as they see him, maybe the two witnesses show up to try to explain what's about to happen and what's going down, and then maybe the earthquake, hits here with the eclipse, the solar eclipse, and then by the 8th, maybe things are wrapped up with that whole kind of drama, I guess, that's going on there up until perhaps the Noah connection there of bringing really unleashing the wrath, or the second earthquake, or what have you. The half an hour of silence has to work in there somehow. So whether we're going to start the ball rolling and God starts blowing the trumpets here, or we're going to wait halfway through the tribulation to do that, that's a whole nother question. But I'm just wondering, this 7-8 connection, going back to the dream, is there sort of a chiasmus here of things that's going on? As we counted the blood moons, there 9 in either direction. There was kind of a chiasmus from October 18th on both sides, which is this date, Simchat Torah, and then November 8th in the middle there as the actual blood moon. So could it be that God is fulfilling both calendars, in other words, and that something, maybe it's going to be a month long, maybe that's the half hour he's talking about, starting on the 17th to the 17th, or something of that nature, or from the 17th of October to the 17th of Cheshvan. That's kind of an interesting thought as well. So just want to explore that a little bit more with you. Just a quick video. I'd love to get your thoughts and opinions as we consider this going into these last days, and I hope to come back with some more videos for you today. Love you, and look forward to seeing you in heaven if I don't see you here again first. All the best, all the blessed, and Maranatha.